gathering with a remembrance of Muhammadin wa Ali Muhammad. As a gift to the soul of Sayyidina wa Mawlana Al-Imam Al-Hussein and his honorable family and companions, recite the second salawat. To hasten the reappearance of Sayyidina wa Mawlana Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman, and for Allah to shower onto this gathering with His infinite mercy and compassion, recite the third salawat with the loudest of your voices. LGBTQ, a topic that every religious leader, every religious organization, and almost every religious person avoids. A topic that's ignored. And once we're ought to face this topic, then we dread talking about it. While the Western world faces a storm, and I truly mean this, a storm, in every way possible, in this new revolution of gender identity, we are no longer given a choice, but to face reality and to rise to the occasion. If I choose to ignore this topic from the minbar, and you choose to ignore this topic at home, and we as a community collectively ignore this topic, year in, year out, we don't mention it in our Friday sermons. We don't mention it in our conferences, in our seminars, in our Muharram majalis. Guess what? It's not going to go away. My children and your children are exposed to this phenomenon as early as the first grade, if not earlier. At school, they are taught that if you are a boy and you are born as a boy, you may no longer identify as a boy. You can identify as a girl. And if you are a girl, you're also free to now be recognized as a boy. You can also be neither a boy or a girl. You can identify as transgender. You can identify as non-binary. You can identify as gender neutral, gender queer, two-spirit, and the list goes on, 17, 20 different genders. And you may choose to be none of the above, or all of the above at the same time. And if you happen to choose being gender neutral, then in the morning, when you go to school, you can use the girls' bathroom. In the afternoon, you can use the boys' shower at the gym. You can dress as a boy to school and attire as a girl to work. And today, this topic is already everywhere we look. It is in your kids' Legos. It is in your kids' cartoons. It is in your kids' storybooks. It is at your doctor's office. It is at your college and high school. And soon enough, it will be unescapable. You will not be able to watch the news, turn on your television, or leave your house unless you face this new norm, this new normal, this new reality. And the truth is, this topic may seem irrelevant to some people. This topic may make some people uncomfortable. But I want to say one thing, brothers and sisters, and keep that in mind. A majlis, an Islamic institution, is not like your shisha cafe. It's not like your restaurant. What do I mean? When you show up at the shisha cafe, you order your favorite flavor. Look, if you don't like a double apple, you're not going to order double apple. You're going to order, for example, something with mint. If that's what you like, that's your favorite flavor. If you go to a restaurant and you happen to like, for example, pasta, you're not going to order pizza. You order what you like and you enjoy it. But guess what? This place is not a shisha cafe nor a restaurant. You're not always going to hear everything that is completely aligned with your ideology and your needs. This place is more like an emergency room and a hospital. Today, this phenomenon exists within our community. And this is a need. And we live in this society, so we must address this topic. We cannot run away from it. And of course, no discussion is ever going to be perfect. You're not sitting across from an infallible imam or a ma'soom or the most learned person in the history of the manabir. But it does not mean that we run away from reality. You see, I say it was so much easier to be a marja', for example, like 100 years ago. Even 30 years ago. Because the biggest problem you had was Ramadan. When is Ramadan starting? When is Ramadan ending? Did you see the hilal? Did we not see the hilal? And life goes on. But if you're trying to be a marja' in 2022 and onwards, it's going to be much more difficult. If you are a chairman of Islamic institution 50 years ago, there wasn't much you had to worry about. Maybe a couple of guys did some dabka in the middle of the center, and then you had to figure out, is this okay, is this not okay? But now, you have to deal with all this. And what do? Do we just say, you know what? Some people, they think this is the easy, most convenient way out of it. So they say, you know what? Excuse me, I don't mean any disrespect. To hell with them. Who cares? We don't even think about them. Why? Because this somehow is the godly thing to do. This somehow is the Islamic thing to do. And I'm here to tell you, it's neither Islamic nor godly. Why? Number one, if you think it's Islamic, go and take a search engine with all the fiqh books and the books of hadith. Select all the books of hadith, select all the books of fiqh, and then do a search for this word, khuntha, which is neither untha or it's neither a man or a woman. It's neither dhakar or untha. Neither a man or a woman. Khuntha. I did this a few weeks ago when I was researching this topic. And how many results do you think I got? 12,000. 12,000. The word khuntha, which is not a male or a female, is used 12,000 times in one of our search engines. From books that were 1,000 years ago, hadiths of course 1,400 years ago, books from 1,000 years ago, 700 years ago, 350 years ago, but today we have an issue discussing it. Today it's a topic we're trying to avoid. And is it godly? Today, most certainly, it is scientifically and medically proven that some gender confusions are due to medical reasons. Some of those people have medical issues, biological issues, mental health issues. How is it okay for people with other medical conditions to attend, to be spoken to receive service from our Islamic institutions, but we bar others from it? They are the creation of Allah. They were also created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, some of you might be saying, Sayyid, are you trying to support the LGBT? No, hold on. We're still at the introduction. But I am most certainly not here to shame anybody, or to degrade anybody, or to disrespect anybody. Even if we say they are sinners, that's the worst case scenario, right? They're sinners. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke to sinners in the Quran. Allah had a dialogue with sinners in the Quran, and sinners also deserve a chance. The least, I'm here to say, the least that human beings deserve is our attention. For them to be heard. You see, why do you think the LGBTQ community is so strong? Have you thought about this? Honestly, have you thought about why are they so strong? When I said a storm, I really mean a storm. You try to stand in front of them, you cannot. They're becoming the most powerful lobbying group in America and around the world. Why? When you choke so many people for so long, then they're all passionate about helping one another, standing in solidarity with one another, defending one another. So, kicking them away, not listening to them, ignoring them, most certainly is not the solution. And that is why I am taking a risk. Let's be honest, a lot of people will say, what's this say talking about Muslim transgenders, and he's even somehow, siding with them on some issues. Look, I'm not here to please anybody. I'm here to please Allah, and I will face Allah with what I'm about to say. I know that for a fact. I have to face Imam al-Hussein. I have to face the Ahl al-Bayt. But I know that it is not okay if we allow someone in our community, in our family, to contemplate suicide and attempt suicide on a daily basis. And if we can help them, we ignore them. That is why I want to talk about this topic tonight, and this is why I chose this specific title, Transgender Muslims. Why? Because I'm not going to be talking about sinful people immersed in sin, living a life of sin. I don't want to talk about people who are just following their desires. I don't want to talk about people who are indecent. I don't want to talk about people who have no self-control and no self-respect and no self-dignity, whether they are Muslim or non-Muslim. Right? Sayyid, are you trying to say that, for example, homosexuality is okay? Who am I to say that? Allah has said it's haram. Who am I to say it's halal? How can I ever make something haram halal? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what we're discussing. I'm here to say that some of those individuals are decent people. They are Muslims. They're practicing Muslims. Some of them are the lovers of Ahlul Bayt. And you would be surprised when I announced this topic, I had a storm of emails from transgender Shia Muslims. One of them said, Sayyid, if you bash us, I will commit suicide, period. Because I've been listening to you for so many years. I've been bashed and rejected from every single part of my life. If you bash me, I'm just going to kill myself. I didn't choose to be this way. I have a struggle every single day. And you want to sit on the minbar and bash me? So I'm not going to bash anybody. I said this the other day when I was talking about, is God an illusion? I said, we want to have a dialogue. We want to talk. We're not here to fight. So I want to focus on people who are decent. People who want to have a relationship with Allah. People who want to feel the warmth of a family, a circle of friends, a community. To be respected, to be treated like normal human beings. This is the focus of my topic. And I want to dissect it in the following way. Number one, how many genders do we have in Islam? According to the Quran, this book revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the heart of the last messenger, Muhammad. How many genders do we have? Number one. And we'll discuss the variety of opinions. Number two, what is the difference between sex and gender? Number three, can we have a gender change as Muslims? And number four, how can we protect our children from things that we fear? وصلوا على محمد وآل محمد. The first opinion, how many genders do we have according to the Quran? The first opinion is that we have two genders. Why? Because of the ayah that I began my lecture with, Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 43. O people, O the children of Adam, O human beings, we have created you from dhakarin wa untha. And that's it. There is no dhakar, untha, khuntha, transgender, neutral gender, two-spirit gender. No, it's dhakar wa untha. So there is no other third gender, and we cannot have other genders. But I want to take your attention to another ayah. So that is the first opinion. Now let's look at the second opinion. In Surah An-Nahl. Surah An-Nahl, ayah number, Surah An-Nahl is 16:78, verse 78. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاللَّهُ أَخْرَجَكُم مِّن بُطُونِ أُمَّهَاتِكُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ شَيْئًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave life to you out of your mother's womb. You were born and you didn't know a thing. وَجَعَلَ لَكُمُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَالْأَفْئِدَةَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you ears to hear with, eyes to see, and a mind to judge with. So you continue to learn and you become the human beings that you are today, right? This is in Surah An-Nahl 16, verse 78. Other scholars have come and said, but there are people who are born deaf, and there are people who are born blind, and there are people who are born without the ability to judge. What about them? So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about gender within the Holy Quran and defines both genders, yes indeed, that is the vast majority of people. And that is why transgenders, or all this LGBTQ and all the power they have and all this, they're only 3%. Transgenders are less than 1%. So Allah doesn't speak of less than 1% small minor exception Allah is speaking of a general rule. Just like in this ayah when He says you are born and you have hearing ability and you have vision and you have the ability to judge, the vast majority of people are born that way. But do we have people who are born blind? Do we have people who are born deaf? Absolutely. So Islam does not say that, yes, the vast majority are three genders, but it does not speak of gender confusion. Why? Because there are many factors. There are many factors that play a role in someone's life until they're confused about their gender. You know, sometimes it's not even them, it's their parents. Something happened with the parents, have gender transition. Is it allowed? The first response from the vast majority of the ulama refers to Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 119. That says no, you cannot. Why? Because Surah An-Nisa, verse 119 speaks of change in human body because of shaitan's influence on human beings. So shaitan says, Ya Allah, one of the ways that I'm going to influence human beings is to make them change things around in their bodies. And they say, well, this is very obvious that the greatest change is to actually change your identity, change your gender. So it is not allowed. But we do have ulama, we do have maraji', we do have fuqaha. Oh, I don't agree with them. Habibi, who are you to agree or disagree? Have you read the books? Have you looked at the hadiths? Have you done your investigation? Have you done your research? The longest period you've spent at a hawza was when you went to the ziyarah trip in Najaf through the walk. Those people have spent 40 years, 50 years researching. Some of them, this is their opinion. That if, obviously not, I wake up one day, today I wake up, I look at myself, oh, I want to be a girl. So I go and change myself into a girl. A few years later, no, the popular thing is now not to be a girl. Let me switch. No. That's not like that. No. It goes through a rigorous research. Medical doctors, examinations, hormonal imbalances, so on and so forth. Then if it is what it is, then you can transition. Now, what is the difference between gender and sex? Your sex is what you're born with. Your biological organs, reproductive organs. You're born as a boy or you're born as a girl. That's what the doctor says on your birth certificate. You're a boy or you're a girl. But your gender is what you identify as. You are a man trapped in a woman's body, or a woman trapped in a man's body. Does this happen? If it happens, if it is possible, if it is scientifically proven, if it is medically proven, that's what the maraji' say, then this person who's trapped into the wrong body can transition into his normal body. In fact, now while this discussion makes people nervous, it's not the most comfortable thing to talk about, right? What is important for us to talk about, brothers and sisters, is how do we protect our children from things that we fear? And you know exactly what I'm talking about. How do we do that? How do we protect our families? You know, you hear stories about, just yesterday somebody was telling me that La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. I don't even know if I should say this. 120 janaiz of young men were buried in 1 month in this city because of gun violence amongst themselves. Drugs, opioid, heroin, suicide from our community, huh? Don't think this is, we're talking about, other people. And we hear about them and we're afraid. If you're a father, if you're a mother, if you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You sometimes cannot sleep at night. Being so nervous, being so occupied with such thoughts. How do we deal with it? We are here to look at the example of Qasim, Aliun al-Akbar, the camp of Imam al-Hussein. Just seems like such a utopia. How can we ever have... Right now we're just thinking, I hope my son ends up, just dating a girl. I'm good. That's how bad things are. Right? How do we go about protecting ourselves and our families? And I tell you, the primary solution, it's not the only solution, the primary solution is for you to invest in your communities. Invest in your community. Invest in volunteering at your community. Invest your life savings at your community. Drain your bank account, be it. If this is what it takes, do it. If it means that you do not buy the latest S500 this year, don't. Take that extra money and give it to your Islamic institution, Islamic centers. Why? Because they are the first shield. But what kind of Islamic center? Islamic center open Thursday nights, Dua Kumail, 60 plus seniors, they get together, they read Dua Kumail, and then they drink some chai and they leave? No. An Islamic institution that's willing to talk to your kids, spend time with your kids, that's willing to talk about relevant issues, that's willing to have, sport. Because today, you can't bring in kids every day, 365 days out of the year, and say, here's a 1-hour lecture, yalla. That's not going to happen. We need sports festivals, we need conferences, we need trips, we need camps, we need gymnasiums, we need art, we need people to network with one another. This guy is good at, for example, marketing. She's good at, for example, something else, and they get together and they work on a project. They get to know each other. They become the resources of the community. Those people in front of me are the future of this community. This is the best investment, brothers and sisters. I kid you not. And don't just drop off your kids and then you go somewhere else and then you come back and you're sitting in the car and like, who cares what happened? No, talk to them. See if this majlis that you dropped them off to was beneficial, keep taking them. If it's not beneficial, take them somewhere else. Make sure that when they go to an Islamic institution, they're eager to sit and listen, not eager to run away and not listen. And that is the best investment. That is how we can protect our families. Number 2, it's your job to also be part of their lives, to speak with them, to work with the Islamic institution. If you have ideas, bring them. Volunteer. Belongs to a special man in the camp of Imam al-Hussein. His story says it all. Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. And I said this, and I will say it again. You will not find anybody in your community that has a bigger sin than Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. And Imam al-Hussein embraced him. While he was in need of help, he says, Ya Aba Abdullah, I regret my sin. Imam al-Hussein didn't say, push him down. Imam al-Hussein used his hands to tell him, rise, stand up. It's enough. You're regretful? It's enough. And I say this to brothers and sisters who are listening to me. Whether your sin or your mistake is relevant to tonight's topic or something else, you can be a hurr. And you should decide to be a hur. And you should want to be a hur immediately, right this moment. So hur comes to Imam al-Hussein. He says, Ya ibn Rasulullah, hal li min tawbah. Imam al-Hussein says, Tub tab Allahu alayk. Hur stands up to go and fight the enemies. Imam al-Hussein says, disembark from your horse. He says, La ya ibn Rasulullah, ana laka rakiban khayrun. Laka min an akuna rajila. Allow me to stay on my horse, ibn Rasulullah. I am here to give you my life. Hur went and he fought bravely. And he defended Imam al-Hussein until he fell. Imam al-Hussein went to this man. Imagine what kind of heart Imam al-Hussein had. He held no grudge against him. He ran to him. He held him. He said, Anta hurrun kama sammatka ummuk. You are a free man, just like your mother named you. Meaning ultimately, you are a free man. You made the right decision. But I want to remind you, brothers and sisters, of a moment on the 10th of Muharram. Yes, the body of Hur was laying there, but so was the body of Hussein. So was the body of Abbas. So was the body of Ali al-Akbar. When the battle finished, Umar ibn Sa'd said, who is there to tremble the body of the enemies of Allah? Allahu Akbar. So a few individuals sat on the back of their horses to go and stampede the body of Imam al-Hussein and his companions. What happened? Some of the tribe of Hur came and said, no way, we're not going to allow you to do that. Hur is from our tribe. We're going to take Hur and we're going to bury him and we're going to give him an honorable burial. As Sayyida Zainab was looking, she said, oh Allah, be a witness that the grandson of Rasulullah is left with no tribe, no Ansar, no one to come and save the body of the grandson of Rasulullah. They sat on the back of the horse and they stampede the body of Abu Abdullah. But look at Hussein today. Look at where his body is buried today. Look at those who sit and they mourn Imam al-Hussein. We send our hearts with whom? With Sahib al-Zaman. Sahib al-Zaman, who just like you is now wearing black. And he's shedding tears on his grandfather Rasulullah. And his grandfather Imam al-Hussein. And he says to his grandfather Imam al-Hussein, Ya Jaddah, Ya Aba Abdullah, لأبكينك بدل الدموع دمعا ولأندبنك صباحا ومساء. I shed tears of blood for you, Ya Aba Abdullah, and I cry for you in the morning and the day. How can I ever forget the masa'ib that befell onto you? So with Sahib al-Zaman, with all the lovers of Hussein all around the world, brothers, sisters, my friends, raise your voice. Ya Sayyidana wa Mawlana, inna tawajjahna واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند all of us together, brothers, sisters, raise your voice. The lovers of Imam al-Hussein, the soldiers of Imam al-Hussein, mashallah. Ya wajiha